In Arizona, we are unique in that we have a group of scientists that can tell you while this material is in the air with a spectrometer specifically what it is as it's coming out of the back of the airplane.
Right on.
Whether it's from spray nozzles or the engines. It's the best in the world. They have all the equipment there. We're a community. People do favors for each other. They will do a favor for you and do a spectral analysis of that. Now, the next step is very significantly more difficult because everybody knows the federal government is behind it, the federal government is doing it.
Yeah.
I agree, you do not maintain subject matter jurisdiction over these kind of events with the federal government. The federal government does these things primarily under the guise of national security.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to take you back a few years. When President Eisenhower left office, he said, beware of the military-industrial complex. Shortly after that, people started dying in San Francisco. Cancer. Cancer was an epidemic. Nobody realized cancer was communicable. Somebody sneezed next to you and you catch cancer. Really? The statutory time limit on when the government can keep secrets from the people is 35 years. 35 years later, it was revealed. They intentionally released radioactive material into the atmosphere specifically to count the death rate of people. It was done for a national security project.
Huh.
The project was, if an atomic bomb ever went off here, they wanted to find out what the fallout would do to all the people. The only thing, so all the people who died, I mean, after this was divulged, the people who were still alive were their family members, and they lost interest. I mean, over time, the government wins. They beat you through attrition. For the last 40 years, there has been a law in this country that very few people know about. And the law is going to sound stupid to you, but this honestly is the real law. If the President of the United States declares a state of national emergency, he and all of his people gain immunity. So if you sue the federal government and you go into the courtroom, the judge lacks subject matter jurisdiction over any evidence submitted by the President during a time of national security as declared by him. So in other words, there's hardly any way you're going to win a lawsuit if he makes that declaration. This is a very difficult problem. I litigated that issue for 20 years. And the Supreme Court agreed with that stupid decision. I have studied this for so many years. The only solution short of physical violence, the only solution I can come up with is you've got to get rid of all those stupid people in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
Hi, I'm John. I live in Kingman, out in Valley Vista there. I have a question for the senator. In your opinion, do you think we're a bunch of nuts? Or what is your true opinion of this whole phenomenon? I moved from Michigan about 12 years ago, and one of my neighbors out in Valley Vista was telling me about this spray and stuff, and we affectionately nicknamed him Jet Poop Bob, you know. But, you know, when I first moved here, for the first few years, day after day after day, a crystal clear blue skies.
Yeah.
We loved it. Arizona. It is no more, Senator.
That's right. It's sad.
Well, I have to say, I love all of you guys. I don't think that you're nuts. I think that you're concerned. You have concerns about things that are affecting you. Many of you have lab work that shows abnormalities that you can't find out why, and so you're reaching out to anyone, to me, not to me as a doctor, but to me as your representative, so that I can bring people who are experts to talk to you about things that they do that connecting you, I mean, they're trying to connect you with the federal government by giving you the information. I'll pledge to you that I will talk to Congressman Gosar or somebody from his staff to see if there's a way to get another meeting going
Yes.
for you. I can't guarantee it will actually happen, but I can guarantee that I can talk to them about it. And you know, you're reaching out to try to find out what can be done to help you. So, and there are some things that ADEQ does have jurisdiction over. They don't have jurisdiction over the skies. They don't have jurisdiction over reforming the Clean Water Act. But they do have jurisdiction over the water, air, and soil quality in Arizona. And so that's something that might be able to be explored so that if the testing isn't being done in our area, I know that there is testing done in Kingman near the airport and also out in Yucca, and those sites that have been tested have been found to be within normal limits. They haven't been above the limit. So there may be other places that need to be investigated, and that's something that I'll talk to these guys about. How do we go about going to specific places to check so that either we can find out what's wrong or reassure people if there isn't something wrong?
Well, you know, I'm not an aeronautical engineer or scientist or a climatologist, but we live in an area with 5, 8, 10% humidity. If this is normal contrails, that stuff doesn't fall down in the mountains. You know, we're not living in the Blue Ridge area, you know, north of Carolina. You look at some days when it goes back and forth and it just falls right down on the mountains. It's just not normal. Just start looking up, Senator. Look up at the skies. Thank you.
What's out there today? Nothing.
Yes, clear as a bell.
They stopped all air traffic in America.
They did. Yeah, nobody's flying today.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Todd Howard, Kingman. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for coming. I know you all have valid concerns, and I'm sure a lot of you have good, solid evidence. But what I want to talk to you about is, no matter what you present here tonight, it's going to fall on deaf ears. Now, they've told you this is a jurisdictional matter. And the reason I wanted this nice lady here to point out the mission statement of the ADEQ is, you are that jurisdiction. Do you understand? They have no jurisdiction about what comes out of the back of an airplane until it affects your health. Now you have to, listen to me, what you have to do is you have to get your evidence together and you have to make a claim. You have to file a complaint and you've got to be able to substantiate it. For any state agency to find jurisdiction, there's got to be a claim of damage. Do you understand that? It's very simple law. I guarantee you that the state agencies have jurisdiction when they want so many bucks for you running a stop sign. They're just happier than hell to collect money. But if you want to get them moving for your benefit, then you have to understand that you are that jurisdiction and you have to set that jurisdiction in motion. Get your public servants off top dead center. Get a claim together, get your evidence together, get organized. Please, please do not be so naive as to think you're going to make anybody up there care.
Right.
They're your public servants. Get them in motion. Get your claim together. Get moving. Do not be naive.
Okay, I think we're going to take 2 or 3 on this side and then move back on that side. Okay.
Thank you, Senator Ward, for coming to this meeting. I'm surprised we didn't have the pledge this evening to start it off. But as a Vietnam veteran, we were told not to worry about Agent Orange.
Yeah.
I would like to once again serve my country to stand behind one of these jetliners with you, the Attorney General and ADEQ Director, and a few of your fellow senators with no face masks for 15 minutes. Be sprayed what is ever coming out of these planes, since there is nothing to worry about. Warren Trempe, Hager, Arizona.
And thank you for serving in Vietnam, sir. That's right. Thank you for serving. Bless you.
And it's called Operation Ranch Hand is what they did there. Operation
First, I'd like to make a plain statement of fact. No matter what anybody thinks, the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and it will be obeyed by everybody, including the ADEQ. Next is a little bit of an opinion. We had hard questions here. I don't understand why the ADEQ would send somebody that looks more like a lawyer when we really need a scientist, maybe doctors, somebody that can answer the hard questions and not just shuffle us away and then you go on about your business.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, this is a representative form of government.
Yeah.
And we, the people, are the ones that you represent. And I'm not seeing a real good job being done. I hope we don't have to remind everybody the last voice is us. And we are ruled by the consent of the governed. And if we don't start getting back a little bit closer to what the people want, we may have to remove that consent and even remove some of the public officials that represent us. I do appreciate Kelli Ward for taking our questions, but how about if we do this again, we get a little bit more serious about it. Instead of lawyers and mouthpieces that can answer questions and cover for people, we start talking about the truth.
That's right.
There is something going on there,
Yeah.
and I'm not the only one that's kind of upset about it.
We want truth.
So how about if we do this again, we get a little bit more to the bottom of the truth, and bring some of your scientists, and let's see some of the proof. And incidentally, I got one last story, and then I'll return this microphone. You know, in the early 1950s, when jet airplanes would fly over the house in West Virginia, my dad, who was a doctor, by the way, we would go out and he would explain the difference between the jets and the propeller planes. I understood about the condensation trail way back in the 1950s. And you know, I've been watching those planes in the sky ever since. And as my memory serves me, about 1990, when I was going around exercising at the park over here, I looked up in the sky and I says, what in the heck is that? I've never seen that before. My dad was still alive then. I remember calling him a day or two later, talking to him on the phone. Have you ever seen anything like this? Well, I'm 60 years old. And I've watched the sky for most of that 60 years. And I'm telling you, I don't need to be a scientist.
Right.
There's something changed.
Yes.
I don't know physics. If I drop this microphone behind my back, I don't need to be a master in physics to know it's not going to strike the ceiling, it's going to strike the floor.
Right. Amen.
So the next time we have one of these meetings, let's get a little bit more serious about this and bring in some of the people that can answer these questions.
Amen.
And the people that have the power, like Kelli Ward, to take it a step farther. We start actually getting to the bottom of this. We start reminding our elected officials we are concerned and we want something done. And we're not going to take no for an answer much longer.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to back that up 100%. My name is Charles Guadalupe. I live here in Kingman. Number one, why are they dumping it? We should really be asking the question, are they trying to see how sick we get before we die? Genocide. Goddamn. But anyway, I want to bring up something else too here. The year 2011, something popped up which should be looked into. I tried to get an investigation on it, and thus far nothing. It came out in the Standard newspaper. It says inside the morgue, they're not doing autopsies like they should. Illegal harvesting of body parts, and I have the information here, right in both my hands, from Rex Ann Worrell, the county coroner. Anybody can check it. I got it from the Mohave County Manager's Office. Rex Ann Worrell is the county coroner. She made some statements that here in Mohave County, they're signing death certificates on people before they die. She says that they're actually targeting people for body parts. And I got two letters, one from a hospice nurse and one from a nurse, O'Neill, used to be at the Wallapai Mountain Hospital, saying that anybody over 70 years old, and I have it right here in my hand, is a target. The federal government doesn't want to spend money on people 70 and over or young people on a long-term disability. Yet they're printing up trillions of dollars. What are they doing with it? They don't want to spend it on us. And the proof is right here. Anybody wants to check it? I've got a newspaper from the Standard newspaper, and I also have it Rex Anwar, the county coroner. Daily Miner wouldn't touch it. Rusty Cooper, I wanted him to investigate it. No investigation from the city police, none from Sheriff Sheehan, not even from the FBI. Nobody would investigate it. And that's the year 2011. And I have the proof right here. Anybody can see it. It's not me saying it, it's the authorities saying it. Let's get an investigation on that. It's way overdue. Start protecting the people.
That's right.
End of sentence. Let's do our work.
Okay, let's try and stay on topic, because I know that there's a lot of folks that have things that they want to say on topic. Okay, go ahead and then back down here, and then we'll have to come over to the other side.
I don't know, my name is Bill Earnshaw. I'm from Kingman, Arizona. I live on the backside of the Wallabies. I'm a miner. And I had some pretty exotic equipment on hand, and so I checked my, it's actually easier to check your hair and your urine, and I found gold and zinc, and I thought, well, that's interesting. And so I checked my water supply, and there was the gold and zinc. So when you're doing your testing, you need to eliminate all your other things that are around you. And I use a form of chelation. You can take it in tablets, and it's for heavy metals. And you can get some of this stuff out of your body.
Yes, you can.
The other thing that I would suggest to you, as the gentleman before me, is that you do need to organize because the government in general isn't interested in helping you if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
I know some of you who are from Vietnam. And there's where I found out the government definitely didn't want to help me. It was the opposite. So the more you organize, get your data together in an organized form and present it to Senator Ward. I'm sure she'll be of much help to you. And I'd also like to thank Senator Ward for her legislation against the NSA.
So we've got a couple of folks down front, and then we'll move over to the other side.
First of all, I want to say, you don't look like a scientist or an attorney. You look like me. You look like all of us. And you mentioned that you have a daughter. And I don't know if you have children yet or not, but I think that like us, regular people, you would care if this was going to somehow affect your children as well.
That's right.
I moved here in '85, and the beautiful blue skies that I saw every day when I opened up my blind were just enough to make your heart jump for joy. But in the late 90s, I looked up, and to my surprise, I saw these crazy things going on in the sky. And like your daughter, I was like, what's that? And I started counting. I stopped counting at 26 lines that crisscrossed and went different ways, but the 26 that I could identify individually. And every year I've seen it get worse and worse. Now, my barium level is 280 when it should be less than 10. I think I'm kind of the poster child for Mohave County, but I don't live in Golden Valley, I don't live in Kingman. So I really don't shop or eat the same things. I don't do anything that they do similarly. I also don't go in the river, which is something that the health department mentioned, because I'm embarrassed to say it, but I can't swim. And so I stay out of the river. I have Crohn's disease, so I don't eat all the nuts that they were referring to because my body just won't digest things like that. But I'm pleading with you, ladies, help us, join us, because you too have a skin in this game. Look up. I know that when we walk around in our daily lives, we're too busy looking to where we're going so we don't trip over something, or we're in a hurry to get where we're going, or we're driving and we're avoiding other cars. But just stop and look up and ask why and help us. Once, whatever the source is, let's say it's an airplane, just for speculation. Once it leaves that airplane and it lands on Arizona, the ground, our airspace, our plants, our trees, our people, then doesn't it become your interest? Not even then?
It's an airplane.
Okay, well, but after it's not in the airplane anymore.
It's still an airplane.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we don't know.
No ability to analyze it. Yeah, no, I live up on a hill, okay? I see the horizon. And again, like I moved here 6 years ago, the sky was beautiful and clear. In 2009, it started to get sprayed all the time. It is a white blanket, hazy muck all the time. It doesn't matter if we're being currently sprayed or not, it's always there. It's always there. You can't analyze that.
There is.
Plus, as I said, this is nanoparticle. Once this genie's out of the bottle, it's not going back in. And the plants, there's like what, Rosalind Peterson is a agricultural analyst for California. 50 million hectares of trees have died because of the fogging out, clouding out. They're not even making enough photosynthesis to maintain themselves. Plus, the toxicity of the aluminum and things are causing their roots to shut down, so they're not even uptaking water. This is a problem, kids. This is a big problem. This is death to plant life, death to bacteria, death to, right now, the species extinction rate is 150 to 200 a day, 73,000 a year. This is not something that you can sneeze off and brush aside. If you have kids, you should care. If you have lungs or a brain, you should care. This is toxicity that is in our air every breath we take in this room. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not here. It's nanoparticle. It's toxic. Aluminum is a toxic protoplasmic poison. It stifles numerous enzyme systems in all your cells. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It degrades the blood-brain barrier. It degrades the tight junction cells in your intestines. It causes leaky gut syndrome. It's causing a host of problems. And you look so bored here. You're just smirking the whole time, and it's like a big joke to you. This is important. Our country is being poisoned, and nothing is going to be done about it.
That's what we feel like.
That doesn't have anything to do with the environmental quality, though.
Hi, my name's Angelique. I live in Clark County, Nevada. One thing I want to make clear here that hasn't been said is that these are not, these programs are not exclusive to just our country. These are global. This is a photograph, a satellite photograph of our planet. This is not contrails, you guys. This doesn't have any contrails. I also want to capitalize on what you just said. We've talked a lot about the detrimental effects of geoengineering on human health. Everything is dying right now. The birds, the bees, the bats, the fish, the trees. I've got a report with me here that is a 29-day global report on fish die-offs. We caught a blip on the news about the Monterey, California fish die-off on May 17th of this year. We did not hear that there was 4 other states in our nation that were having massive fish die-offs. In that 29 days from April 19th to May 17th, there was 33 events around this planet, all of them involving millions of fish at 19 different locations on our planet. Everything is dying right now. Now, with all due respect, Senator Ward, I understood what you were saying about taking baby steps because that's necessary in the political arena when you're trying to accomplish something. We don't have time to take baby steps. We need to take huge steps. Huge steps if we stand any chance of doing anything about this.
Okay. but then I need to let the other side.
No problem. One thing to add, again, I'm Corey Gundelson, I'm from Prescott, Arizona. I live about 3,000 feet from the base of Granite Mountain. Last year at this time, we had the Dosey fire, and then immediately after the Yarnell Hill fire. And I'm on the board of directors of a community organization for Williamson Valley. 19 of our Granite Mountain hotshots died, as you know, last June 30th. So in a couple days, my town is, wow, you know, they're getting ready for it. There's a gentleman in California, Reading, named Mark McCandlish. He's an aviation expert in chemtrails. He is saying that these nanoparticulates are desiccants and fire accelerants.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Yep.
I talked to Tony Shaka, who was the Type 1 incident commander for our fire, meeting the Dosey. I also talked to the Forestry Service at an interagency fire meeting about 3 weeks ago. When I talked to the supervisor for the Forest Service about soil testing, he said, I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's just one more serious matter.
Yeah.
I would like just to say, if there are people that never spoke here, like that lady down there, before, if we speak already once, let's give a chance to speak other people. So I would like to give my microphone to anybody like you, if you never spoke before, and then if I can get it back briefly. I have just some documents, not to really talk too much about just documents. So the lady down there decided wanted to talk, please. And let's keep it in a time limit, so we don't need to go, somebody goes 10 minutes, somebody else goes 60 seconds.
Hello, my name is Alexandra May Hunter. I have traveled here today from Phoenix, where I reside. I would like to thank Senator Kelli Ward for hosting the meeting this evening, and thanks to all the people who came here to participate. No other senator, be it state or federal level, has conducted a meeting of this nature with a state environmental agency. This is a precedent-setting event. And I thank Dr. Ward for having this forum so the public can present to both her and the ADEQ fact-based evidence that they may not have been aware of and that they need to be aware of so that they are able to do the job they are paid to do by the taxpayers. The senator has taken a sacred oath to protect the people, and under the law, it is the affirmatively stated duty and obligation incumbent upon the ADEQ to protect the atmosphere, no matter who the source is that is emitting toxic air pollution. I have prepared and brought with me today a packet of fact-filled historical evidence and data by both the government itself, agencies thereto, as well as leading credible academic scholars and scientists for the senator to review. Some of the documents I have brought are: 1, the Congressional Research Service Report on Geoengineering Governance and Technology Policy dated November 26, 2013. 2, the May 10th, 2010 report by the Belfort Group, a Belgian environmental watchdog group titled Case Orange, Chemtrail Science, its impact on climate and weather manipulation programs conducted by the United States and its allies. 3, a binder titled Government Documents Link Global Warming to Advanced Military Climate Modification Technology. 4, a United States Air Force research paper titled Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather by 2025, dated August 1996. And 5, an official United States Air Force Chemistry Manual, Department of Chemistry, Chemistry 131 Manual from the fall of 1990, titled Chemtrails. In addition, 2 leading American medical doctors are on the record stating the program is happening and there are huge detrimental health issues related to the chemicals being used. They are the neurosurgeon, medical researcher, and former military MD, Dr. Russell Blaylock, and Dr. Rima Labo, MD, whose husband is retired Major General Stubblebine, and who is on the record affirmatively stating the program is currently happening. I will only be able to briefly touch upon some of the major points, history, and law supporting the case that geoengineering is in full force and effect and has been for at least 40 years. It is harmful to both human and ecosystem health, and we the people in the entire ecosystem are the collateral damage of this covert but in plain sight program science experiment. I do not consent to this currently in effect, actual and present program. And injury and harm does exist, and I am here now on the record in this public forum setting giving actual legal notice of such. I do not consent. The CIA and NASA have both admitted to utilizing geoengineering. President George W. Bush's Director of Science and Technology, John H. Marburger III, in his December 13th, 2005 letter to Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson, specifically stated that a whole host of concerns, including legal, liability, research, and national security, needed to be addressed to gain a better understanding of the full range of possible implications before the government would undertake, quote, a national research program, unquote, an emphasis added, because he was just talking about a research program, not implementing an actual program. On January 1st, 2011, John Holdren, the Science and Technology Director under President Obama, completely removed all oversight of the geoengineering issue, which was being conducted by the House of Representatives Science and Technology Subcommittee during 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no transparency of this program, and the national security of the United States, its people being its most precious asset, are in grave and serious danger. As Director Marburger intimated, cautioned, and advised, we are under a dangerous aerial assault by unmarked airplanes daily. A major part of scientific fact is based upon observation. In the sky above Phoenix on an almost daily basis, I visually observe completely unidentifiable, unmarked airplanes that are emitting aerosol plumes of matter that spread, descend, and saturate the atmosphere. From my home, I have a very clear vantage point of the commercial air traffic pattern for Sky Harbor Airport. I am able to visually identify the commercial airplanes without any visual aids, such as binoculars. None of the commercial airplanes are emitting these persistent chemical plumes. None of them. All of the commercial airliners are flying in the same exact troposphere as the unmarked airplanes. They ascend and descend through elevations and altitudes on their routes. As commercial airplanes fly into Phoenix from the west, they are at the same exact altitude as the unmarked airplanes in the designated airspace allotted for the commercial airplane routes. None of them, I repeat, none of the commercial airplanes are emitting the trails like the unmarked airplanes are doing. Moreover, upon closer scrutiny, as evidenced by close-up photography and videotape, the unmarked airplanes are emitting these emissions from specifically retrofitted nozzles on the tails of the airplanes and also specifically retrofitted nozzles on the wings. With regard to the scripted dialogue by the ADEQ found at their website on airplanes dispersing, quote, contrails, unquote, which they state are merely vapor trails, scientific and engineering facts contradict that story. The fact is that today's airplanes, with the minor exception of a very few high-powered military fighter jets, are all fitted with high bypass turbofan jet engines that are incapable of emitting contrails. And as I stated above, the unmarked airplanes emitting this air pollution is not coming from jet engines. The source of the persistent disbursement is from retrofitted nozzles on either the wings or tails of the aircraft. The state of Arizona has both the authority and the power to protect the atmosphere, and it's delegated that power to the ADEQ pursuant to Title 49, 109-104A, subsections 1 through 10. Section 10 specifically states the ADEQ is to provide for the prevention and abatement of all water and air pollution, including that related to particulates, gases, dust, vapors, noise, radiation, odor, nutrients, and heated liquids. Under Title 49-422A, subsection 3A, the department may, with regard to any source of air contaminants, to monitor, sample, or perform other studies to quantify emissions of air contaminants or levels of air pollution that may be attributable to that source if the director determines that monitoring, sampling, or other studies are necessary to determine the effects of the source of the air pollution. Under Title 49.421, the legal definitions, ladies and gentlemen, of both air contaminants and air pollution are as follows. Air contaminants include smoke, vapors, charred paper, dust, soot, grime, carbon, fumes, sulfuric acid, mist aerosols, aerosol droplets, odors, particulate matter, windborne matter, radioactive materials, or noxious chemicals, or any other material in the outdoor atmosphere. Air pollution means the presence in the outdoor atmosphere of one or more air contaminants or combinations thereof in sufficient quantities, which either alone or in connections with other substances by reason of their concentration and duration are or tend to be injurious to human, plant, or animal life, cause damage to property, or unreasonably interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property of a substantial part of a community, or obscure visibility, or which in any way would degrade the quality of the ambient air below the standards established by the director. And finally, Title 49.401-01, the legal definitions of adverse effects to human health and adverse environmental effects are as follows. Adverse effects to the human health means those effects that result in or significantly contribute to an increase in mortality or an increase in serious, irreversible, or incapacitating reversible illness, including adverse effects that are known to be or may reasonably be anticipated to be caused by substances that are acutely toxic, chronically toxic, carcinogenic, mutagenic, tetragenic, neurotoxic, or causes of reproductive dysfunction. Adverse environmental effects means any significant and widespread adverse effect that may reasonably be anticipated on wildlife, aquatic life, or other natural resources, including adverse impacts on populations of endangered or threatened species, or significant degradation of environmental quality over broad areas. The state of Arizona's duty is ongoing and continuous, requiring the state to take into account and adjust to current conditions and act in light of changing circumstances and new information, so to ensure adequate protection of the atmosphere for this and future generations. One of the chemical constituents under serious consideration for, quote, proposed geoengineering programs is aluminum oxide, according to the Unilateral Geoengineering Workshop at the Council on Foreign Affairs and David Keith from their 2010 AAAS meeting on geoengineering. Aluminum oxide causes birth or developmental effects, brain and nervous system effects, and reproduction and fertility problems as noted by the Environmental Working Group. Many of the long list of geoengineering patents owned, for the most part, by the major military-industrial complex companies such as Raytheon exactly match the chemical constituents of aluminum, barium, and strontium found in sample tests of water, rain, soil, botany, and human blood and hair samples. Many of these patents are for nano-sized particulates which are not recognized on instrumentation monitor devices in use by most environmental agencies. This instrumentation is not calibrated to identify a nano-sized particulate.
I think we need to let some other folks have a moment. Thank you.
And I just wanted to let everybody know, we have about 15 minutes left, so, you know, make your statements short and concise, because we're gonna have to get out of here, so I just wanted to give you a 15-minute warning.
Dust, not contrails. I appreciate all these people coming here, but if what she just said is accurate, which I believe every part of what the law is, that we have control over particulates in the air.
Yes, we do.
And one huge problem we have here is dust. And that is immediate to all of us living in this area. And it is being caused down in Golden Valley and over at Red Lake, and it is getting out of control, and we need help to put a stop to it. The county is saying that it's the state's responsibility. And the state, I don't know where you all stand, but I hope that you can step in and help us to get that roads, farm stuff under control. NPS, he is mining water, people. He is not farming. He couldn't care less about farming. He is mining water. Thank you. Yes, he does. Thank you.
You guys don't need a blood test to determine if this is affecting you. There's a simple test you can take with hydrogen peroxide and red wine in your mouth. And when you spit it out, you will see all those nanoparticles collect in the bowl. Every single one of you are affected. Every single one.
Yep.
You need to take equal parts of red wine and hydrogen peroxide and swish them around in your mouth for as long as you can handle it. 3 minutes is sufficient. It tastes horrible. I did it. I tried to debunk it by putting those two chemicals together in a simple water bottle to see if any particles formed. Nothing formed. When I put it in my mouth and spit it out, there are fibers that come out. Every single one of you will test positive. Every single one of you, including your daughter. Do it to your daughter, the one that you wouldn't tell her what the chemtrails are. Have your daughter take that test. You can use grape juice, you don't have to use wine. Every single one of you are affected. And those planes that are flying over that are dropping this stuff, no wonder they're unidentified. At any given time, I can go on my phone and ask, what's above me? And it'll give me any airplane that's flying over above me, except the ones that are dumping this stuff on us. So you have to wonder, why are they keeping that secret? Why aren't they telling us?
Thank you. Okay, the 5 people who still have their hand up, can you guys come over here so we can just keep this moving? And that's going to have to probably be all of it, the end of the questions, because we want to do a wrap up, and I'm sure you guys want to talk to each other, and maybe even you want to talk to me. I'd love to talk to you. And so I want to have, if you're going to talk, come over here on the edge, come over to these steps and stand in line, and we'll get to everybody there.
Let's start with the folks who haven't had a chance.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Start with the people who haven't had a chance.
Okay, I'm Bonnie Kelly, and I need to be redundant because I'm hard of hearing and I missed much of what people said.
Hold the mic close enough.
Do I have?
There you go.
I talk so loud, I'm afraid I was going to blast
No.
everybody. Okay, one thing I want to say, Arizona has a really bad record for taking care of their people. My daughter's deaf. She went to ASDB in 1991. 80% of the children were Navajo, and they were extremely, what's the PC word for it? I can only speak like a 1970. They're very retarded. They can't talk, they're in wheelchairs, they're all like this. 80% of the children. My girlfriend was raised on the reservation. So I asked her, I said, Lonnie, how come all these Navajos are here and how come they're all sick? And she said, from the uranium on the reservation that's probably still there because the Navajos can't speak up as good as we can, and we're not going to tolerate it like they do. The birth defects are just horrible. So how do you get funding to come test this? You said you have to get funding. How do we get funding for you? Because it is your job. Those are not contrails, they're chemtrails. It's poison in the air and it's your job. So how do we get you funding?
Hello, my name is Phyllis Trapp. We're from Havasu. I'm sorry we were a little late. We had trouble finding the building. Anyway, I wrote a letter to the editor on March the 7th. Letter to the editor, News Herald in Havasu. And Kelli, we emailed you that website called, and I'm saying this because we may have missed something in the very beginning. The website is What on Earth Are They Spraying? I guess, what in the world? Thank you. What in the world, or what in the world are they spraying? All the information is in there. A lot of what's been said has come from that website. So anyway, the News Herald did not publish my letter. I want to get information out. I understand that colloidal silver is effective in helping us heal. I went to the doctor recently and was told that I had chronic bronchitis. I've never had that in my life. I've always maintained good health. Anyway, sinuses, continually dripping, coughing. Shoot. Anyway, that's what they're calling chem flu.
Chemtrail flu.
Chemtrail flu. So anyway, colloidal silver, please go ahead and check it out, use it, don't overuse it. And I'm happy to hear about the wine and the hydrogen peroxide. That's very helpful. God bless, please help us. Tell us how we can attack this, how we can get some answers and get things changed. This is a wrong that needs to be made right and needs to be exposed. Thank you.
I'll keep it within 120 seconds. First of all, I will stick with facts. As I said before, we have there on record 12 blood tests that have been, it's your duty to find out. Forget about the airplanes, as I said. We have people with real high level of heavy metal. I think it's the duty of every state, starting from the county. That's why we pay taxes, supposed to protect our rights. Among those, life, okay, and our health. So I believe in that. Besides the jurisdiction about the airplanes, I have a question for Mr. Mark Sheffer. Is he in town today? Is he here or is watching? I hope you're watching, Mr. Sheffer, because I have a very straight question for you. My name is Luca Zanna from Golden Valley. I have two ideas about you. Or your ignorance, we can fix that right now, or you're just a scumbag, seriously. With all due respect, I'm not trying to call names. I tell you why. Sorry. This is a serious matter for me. And this is my first matter. No, let me tell you why.
Be disparaging.
No, I don't want to go. I'm going to say, the point is, let me tell you why, and then people judge me, okay? Mr. Mark Sheffer said on a paper, our standard response has been that there is no credible scientific evidence about chemical spray or geoengineering. I have here an hard copy from the state of Arizona for $100. I can apply directly from the state for a geoengineering service. So as I said, I'm not trying to call him names or his ignorance. In that case, we can help you. I was ignorant. I was helped. I learned.